Hey everyone, welcome to the show. They say in the end, the only thing you regret are the chances you didn't take. So meet someone who doesn't want to live with any regret. Meet Atreo Sinha of Tufts University. Hey Atreo, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
So Atreo, tell us a little bit. Let's start by telling us a little bit about your college.
Sure. Tufts University it's a small college. It's just 1,300 people per year, and it's mostly very undergraduate heavy. Tufts does have a couple of graduate schools. There's a very nice medical school which is in Boston, very good dental school, and most importantly, and I think most famously, there's the Fletcher School of Public Policy. So Tufts is a very political campus.
Right.
The political climate at Tufts is very, it's a liberal campus, but more importantly, it's very actively involved with things that are going on in America and across the world. The thing with Tufts that really shines through is the fact that it's a small, private liberal arts college that has a lot of one-on-one student focus, and the size really is what defines it, I would say.
1,300, primarily undergraduate, sounds very cozy.
Yeah, it is very cozy. Classes are small, friendships are made very easily, and it's a closed campus, so it's nice.
Yeah, and it's outside of Boston?
Right. It's it's between two cities called Medford and Summerville, which are suburbs of Boston, and I think it's the right distance because we have this little area on the top of our library where you can actually see the city.
Oh, okay.
So there's the skyline right in front of you. So if you ever feel homesick, you feel like you miss the city vibe, just take a train. It's like a 15-minute train in, and otherwise it's the lush greenery of campus, and we get the snowfall and everything. We also do get the campus experience. So I do think it's a bit of best of both worlds.
Happy best of both worlds.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so Econ and IR, both really interesting fields. So would you tell us a little bit about how Tufts structures that program for you?
The way it works for us academically is that you have a certain number of classes that you do need to take. It's not necessarily like a core curriculum, but there are distribution requirements and foundation requirements that you need to get out of the way at some point. The good thing is that these requirements are very flexible. For instance, I've done a lot of music classes, I've done a couple of art classes, and definitely opened up my mind. These are not classes I would have done in a very structured program, and it's nice to get the opportunity to do that. The students do play sort of a role in determining what the foundational requirements and what the structural requirements should be.
Okay.
And the way that plays out is that you have a student body, you have a senate, and the senate has an education committee inside of it.
Right.
So I served on the education committee when I was a sophomore myself.
Okay.
And what you can do is you can decide how you go about the foundation requirement process. For instance, you can introduce new minors or new classes that can constitute a minor or a major, or students can vote on a new kind of requirement that they might find more relevant to the time. And that's really the cool part. Is that
that's super.
It's
that
ever
you have
changing.
the core, yet you have sort of a blend between having a fixed core, which you need to do, and that is dynamic.
Right. I wouldn't call it an open curriculum, but it's something in the middle. It's like a middle path. I think it works
So it's
both
not
ways.
the Brown, it's not the Columbia.
Right. It's somewhere between Brown and Columbia on that spectrum.
So you've got this super highly ranked master's school, the Fletcher School, on your campus. As undergrads, how does that benefit you?
Well, it plays a big role on campus in general because Fletcher is sort of in the middle of campus, bang in the middle of campus.
Okay, physically as well.
Right. It's right in the center of campus. And the cool thing is that all the professors in Fletcher and all of the students in Fletcher, they're great resources, and they're always there for you as an undergraduate student. There's no ID difference or anything like that. You can sign into a Fletcher building, you can sign into their library, and you can access their resources, you can read their books, you can go in and sort of just hang out with Fletcher students if you want, just hang out with graduate students. And just having that is so important, especially for an IR student like me, because it's a school of public policy. These are people who do what I do, but at a much higher level, much better than I do. For instance, this past semester, my house had an empty slot, so we gave it to a Fletcher student, and it was a German guy, and he was incredibly knowledgeable about the things that he spoke about. He was a specialist in Brazil and understanding Brazil's economic climate and stuff like that, and he knew so much about it. He was an encyclopedia on Brazil. So
amazing.
Similarly, exactly.
So just being with them is sort of osmosis.
It's so amazing just being around them, And even their professors, we sort of benefit in the sense that you'll have professors come to teach them, and they'll be like, why not also take a class at Tufts?
Okay.
So they'll also take a class for your undergraduates. And also, this is really important, is that you can also cross-register. And what that means is, as a Tufts student, you can take Fletcher classes.
Wow.
You need to test into them, I think. You'll need to fill up certain forms and explain why you want to do it and why you deserve to do it.
Right.
But you have a clear shot at taking Fletcher classes with Fletcher students. It might affect your grade a little bit because you probably won't be the smartest one in the room.
Sure.
But absolutely a phenomenal learning experience.
Just sitting with them in the same room with the professor there.
Right. And these are academics. These people are people who are here to do their, pursue their academic endeavors. It's not like us who might go into the corporate world later. It's about getting your research done and your thesis. Is like these are the most important things to them. Yeah. And just to be able to see that and observe that and learn from that, I think that's a huge plus with such a big school in the middle of our undergraduate campus.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Okay, looking at econ and IR, what are potentially the career options that you could be looking at?
There's a lot of career options. I would say that econ and IR probably give you, the most options in terms of being a double major. You can do a lot of things related to politics. You can do obviously finance, consulting, business, the usual stuff. But you can also go into marketing. You can dive right into the startup culture, which is still very, very hot in America.
Okay.
You can be involved. You can get involved with law as well. You could definitely apply to law school. It's a little bit more complicated with coming back to India or choosing to stay there.
Right.
But there are obviously some colleges that the Bar Council will recognize. You could obviously do the LSAT there, see if you can practice law there with a work visa, that sort of thing. But I think where it gets complicated is getting that work visa.
Right.
And what your chances are at getting it.
Right. So with econ and IR and this thing about STEM being a preferred, how does it work out?
Well, I think Obama had some scheme where STEM is now a 29-month extension on your visa.
Right. The OPT.
Right. The OPT is a 29-month thing, so you can work for 2.5 years after your graduation, which is a long time.
Yes.
I only get a 12-month or a 12-month OPT. And what that means is that I'll have to graduate, sort of apply for a visa right after that.
Right.
Hopefully get that visa. If not, I have one more cycle to apply. And otherwise, I'm going to have to figure out something else. So that could involve doing a master's degree in America. A master's degree drastically improves your chances of getting an H1 visa or an H1B visa.
An H1B it becomes with the master's.
Right. I think it's 65,000 slots for an H1B visa in general. And if you have a master's degree, you go into an extra pool of another 20,000 master's students candidates. And what that means is you have that much more chance of getting that H1B visa essentially. Having said that, it's all still a lottery. You still have 200,000 people applying every year, 250,000 odd people applying every year. And they'll give you 65,000 visas, I believe, every year. So that's 1 in 4. It's not a very good chance.
Not at all.
Not at all a very good chance, but there's potential things you could do. You could come back if you work at a multinational organization. You could always ask to be relocated elsewhere till you get the visa. You could do a master's degree. You could do a master's degree straight out of college. There's a lot of options, but I think the one that I'm going to go with is I'm going to just apply to a job and see if they can sponsor my visa, and hopefully see if that first or second lottery works out for me. And if it doesn't, then I'm going to sort of take it from there.
Right. So when you say 12 months, you've potentially probably used up 3 months after your junior year. Is that how it is?
Right. So if I do get to work in the US this summer, which is the summer after my junior year, I will have spent 2 to 3 months of that visa, so I will have only about 10 months left on my visa, which obviously makes it a lot more complicated for me. Yeah.
Okay, I know you're involved in a range of activities outside the classroom, and that's what comes from not living with regret.
Yeah, absolutely.
So would you want to take us through some of these?
Absolutely. I was always very over-involved right from high school, but when I went to college, I think the first thing that I saw, it was one of the first few weeks, it was an activities fair. And I walked into that activities fair and there was not a single thing that I didn't want to do. And I looked at it and I said, these are either things that I'm interested in or things that I know I'll be good at or, things that I want to try some way or the other. But what ended up happening was that I ended up over-involving myself, as I do. overcommitting freshman year, and I loved it.
So which were those 2 or 3 that you zeroed in on?
Yeah, for me, the most important thing that I'm involved with outside of class is Tufts Mock Trial. It's an inter-college activity, so we end up hitting schools from all across the country. You know, we've played against UCLA, we've played against Stanford, and you know, we also have our East Coast rivalries going on with NYU and Harvard, and they're very good schools as well. And
what is this about?
Well, mock trial is just, it's a courtroom. It's a simulation of a courtroom. So you're given a case and you argue that case. So you're either the prosecutor or the defense attorney, and you will argue that case with a three-person table on either side. Or you can play a witness, where you enact the role of someone who's, you know, seeing this thing for the first time, or an eyewitness or something like that, or an expert who can tell you more about like forensic science or something like that. You end up learning a lot. Most importantly, I think you end up learning just public speaking skills and you know, debating, arguing skills on the spot. But
and
more
law and
absolutely, there's also a lot of law to learn. There's I have like very weird parts of, you know, the American law memorized right now, but that's not why I do it. The real reason I do it is because it's a phenomenal team activity. It's one of those things where, you know, my school spirit really comes through. Like, I'm not a football player or I'm not, you know, a basketball player, but I do want to go there and represent Tufts. I do want to win trophies for Tufts, and that's how I do it. But also I was involved with the Tufts Senate, which was the decision-making body. We represented the students, and it was like an elected system. I do 180 degrees consulting, which is sort of a practice for management consulting, those who want to go into management consulting in the future. I rushed a fraternity. I was in one for a while. I over-involved myself, but I absolutely loved it, and I would encourage all college students to, you know, just take all of the roads so you don't regret the road that you didn't take.
Try it. Talking about fraternities, Tufts has a lower percentage of Greeks, is that true?
Yes, over time it's increased. In fact, my freshman, sophomore year, which is when I got into it as well, it was actually the highest participation we'd ever seen. It was, for girls, it was about 60% of the student population would rush fraternities, but would rush sororities. But then it got a lot more complicated because a lot of laws came in, and certain fraternities were banned, and you know, certain hazing activities and stuff came into the picture, and it got very murky and messy with that. And obviously the Greek life in Tufts is on a decline right now, but it doesn't really affect the spirit of the school. You know, it's not very heavily reliant on Greek life anyway. So it's definitely a fun place to be regardless. Yeah.
Actually, there are concerns that international students have about fitting in. There's anxiety about sort of being in a largely American system. So what would you like to offer them?
So your identity, a very heavy part of your identity, is going to be the fact that you're an international. You're going to be, you know, trying to get your visa right, or trying to renew your I-20 form, or something like that. And these are words that will be completely alien to your American friends. They won't know what you're talking about. So it is definitely important to have an international community. And because Tufts is very international, we have about 20 to 25% students who either identify as international students or actually are here on a visa. And it's really important to make sure that you have that community, sort of understanding the culture. If there might be a little bit of a culture shock, we think we know a lot about America. We think we're going in, you know, knowing the names of the cities or the new cool song. But that often doesn't translate into understanding American college culture. And they're definitely isolated, but almost fairly regular, you know, incidents of racism and things like that can make you uncomfortable. Things like that can make you feel nervous about, you know, where you are and if you made the right decision. The way you have to, I think, get past it, the way you have to, you know, sort of not let that affect you, is to find your people, to keep in regular contact with home. I think that's really, really important to do, you know. There's no
call once in 2 days.
I call every day, but I'm also overly attached. So I'm very big on Diwali in college, and I'm very big on Holi in college.
Super. So I think what you say, A, is that struggling is normal.
It's fine.
And B, no two people are the same.
Exactly.
So if you were to describe your school in one word, what would that be?
I think the word that a lot of people use to describe Tufts is quirky.
Quirky.
Yeah,
Okay.
and it's appropriate. You know, Tufts definitely has like this eclectic mix of people that come from very different backgrounds, do very different things, but are very passionate about the things they do. You know, so you'll have your hockey player or your football player, and then you'll have your your theater geek. You'll have the mock trial enthusiast. You'll have the person who's very hell bent on going into banking. You'll have like very different backgrounds, and all of them really love what they do and do it with a lot of passion. So I think quirky is definitely the word for Tufts. Yeah.
Okay, so apparently Tufts is not very high on the party scene rankings, declining on the Greek rankings.
Absolutely, yeah.
But yet, one of the rankings says it's got the happiest students.
Yeah.
So what's the secret ingredient?
I think the cool thing about Tufts and a lot of similar colleges which are like small liberal arts colleges is that you can do what you want, and it's very freeing to be able to go to Tufts and be like, all right, there's these 10 things I want to do, or there's this one person I want to be. It's your choice. You can be a generalist, you can be a specialist.
Right.
You go do whatever you want to do with as much passion as you want to do, and people will help you out. The school will fund your expenses. Often students will give you support. You will find 10 other students who want to do that. And the thing is, despite being such a small school, there's no shortage of things you can do, or no shortage of resources you can find. And I think that gives us a mix of both of the most important things that I find in a college. A tight-knit community where everyone really knows each other and understands each other, and it's cozy and comfortable, but also the chance to expand your horizons, the chance to do something bigger than you've done before.
Yeah, so quirky is happy.
Quirky is happy. You do what you want and you stay happy.
Okay.
It's I think one of my most fun experiences was when I was part of Tufts Mock Trial, as part of Tufts Mock Trial. So we went to Yale. This was at the end of my freshman year, but it was a friendly against Yale, at Yale. So we thought, okay, this is going to be so difficult. This is such a good school, we're going up against them. There's no way we're going to win. And I'm a freshman, so I really don't know what I'm doing.
Sure.
And I go up there and we destroy Yale. Right? And with all due respect to Yale, that's not something Yale would like to look back on. And we destroy Yale, and it was so much fun. And that day I came out feeling like, all right, Tufts Mock Trial is really good.
Yes.
And we're good because we stick together, and we're such a good community. We're so tight knit.
Absolutely.
And that's what made us really good, and that's what keeps us really good.
Okay, so thank you so much for being on the show. It was indeed wonderful.
Of course.
And wish you all the luck with your future.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Please click the subscribe button below. Like me at facebook.com/ChetChat101. Follow my Twitter handle, ChetChat101, or at Instagram, ChetChat101. Please leave your comments in the sections below. And if you'd like me to feature any particular college, please let me know. Thank you.